Hello, you guys. It's Josh Vision, and I'm here to give you my season one, episode one review of Dead to Me. So, this episode was great, you guys. So, we start off basically with the character of Jennifer basically mourning the death of her husband, who was viciously ran over by a car. So, we start off with her basically being kind of comforted by her next door neighbor who gives her some type of lasagna or something. Jennifer has no time for that. She's really annoyed. It seems like the good intentions of the neighbors, kind of a little bit of smugness. She's kind of constantly refers to how her and her husband, are so happy together and that it's such a tragedy, but she does it in a very condescending way. Jennifer, like I mentioned before, she has no time for it. She just sort of slams the door in her face. We see her go to this grief therapy session, and that's where she meets the character of Judy. So in this grief therapy session, I believe the head guy, whose name is Wayne, he mentions how he had to deal with a lot of grief in his life. And the main reason why is due to the fact that he had an aunt, I believe, who we actually gave him a soda from the basement, and she fell down the stairs and busted her head open right in front of her 5-year-old son. So obviously it's going to cause a little trauma, for some people. Um, we learned from this episode basically that Jennifer, like the main goal for Jennifer, at least for this episode, is for her to learn to accept the fact that her husband is gone and to let go of this anger and animosity that she has, especially towards the perpetrator of this act, despite obviously, this is the first episode of the season. So they don't know who ran over, you know, or hit and run, her husband. So we see her start to bond with the character of Judy. I believe Judy gives her her number to Jennifer just in case Jennifer has a hard time sleeping, you know, due to the loss of her husband. So I believe Jennifer calls her around 2 or 3 in the morning, and they start to chop it up. They start to talk about, what they like, their hobbies, their favorite show, the facts of life. They even smoke, some weed, talk about, their lives and all that. Eventually, we find out, later in the episode, near the end of the episode, basically, that the whole thing about Judy husband dying from some type of cardiac, like heart problem. That was a bunch of malarkey, basically. Turns out that Judy's, I believe her husband left her or something, or her boyfriend or fiance left her, but it was mainly due to the fact that she's had 5 miscarriages. 5 miscarriages, you guys. And this, secret of hers comes out after Jennifer blows up on her about her lying about how her husband didn't die, and how she's sort of making fun of those in this group, this like group relief, group they're a part of, you know, and that wasn't cool and all that stuff. So eventually, Jennifer, after having a little bit of a talk with Wayne, the leader of the whole group, and some of the other members, she sort of tells, Judy when she visits like Judy, I believe, over in their job, which I think has some I think her job deals with old people or like a retirement home or something, and I think she kind of lives there, ironically. So, she apologized to Judy, although she does remind Judy that what she did do was kind of fucked up, basically, for the most part. But they kind of kiss and make up, and she offers Judy to stay in her guest house, which her husband used to use like as a music studio or something along them lines. So seemed like everything's all good and dandy between them. And then, to the end of the episode, we see Judy go into her little, what's the word? I forgot the word. Anyway, she goes into whatever the freak she goes into, and we're seeing her get her stuff from, the storage unit. Get her stuff from the storage unit. And we notice that the car she has, or the car, that's in the storage thing, I don't know how the freak she's able to get that in there. It has a noticeable, like bumper, like the bumper's completely destroyed, basically, for the most part. And then you start putting two and two together. And then I started to realize maybe, like in terms of like my theory, I think that she was the one that actually hit and killed Jennifer's husband, because in a way that would make sense, like since like she's like when she came into this episode, it was like perfect timing. She comes in right when Jennifer like decides to go to the group therapy session. Like she wants to be Jennifer's friend. She gives Jennifer her number, to console her about her, the loss of her husband. But then again, don't you guys kind of feel that's kind of too obvious? Like it's too obvious for her to be like Jennifer's husband's killer. There has to be someone else. Maybe she thinks she's a killer, but she's not actually the one that actually hit Jennifer's husband. What do you guys think? If I missed anything in this episode, you guys, write some comments down below. This is Josh Vision. Adios.